So Capricorn Cancer is really home against work, the classic combination. Personal life and social life. Cancer is my personal life, which is a lot to do with the family, the home, childbearing and all those sorts of things, and dependency on parents and tradition also, but tradition more in the family circle. Dependency on people who are close, but not like with this case which we were talking, but more emotional dependency here. Always knowing that there is, being important to know that there is somebody there, something like that. This can very often lead to dependency. When the South Node is in Cancer, the past is in Cancer, then it's too much, very often too much identification with family ties, not being able to kind of lead your own life and do your own stuff, because you are dependent in a very unhealthy way with the Cancer. Not only they feed you and they give you money, but they also, you don't feel well if you don't keep those connections alive. Like a man, for example, who is 50 years old but can't live a day without calling his mother. And not because the mother really physically does something for him, she may be living on the other side of the world, but it's this emotional connection or dependency on family ties, and being willing to compromise a lot to satisfy the expectations of family. And it can be also something else. Cancer can be too self-concentrated, like my feelings are so important. How to make sure that I'm not hurt, that I'm not disregarded, a bit like hiding from the world, can be as simple as just too much introversion rather than participating out, and or being scared of the world of responsibility, avoiding responsibility. When you have the South Node in Cancer, you may be expecting shared responsibility with your family, and never thinking that there may be situations in life where others can depend on you or will depend on you, and you have to be prepared for that, to be given the task, the job kind of thing. That's Capricorn. Capricorn is great at this. It's the ultimate task, how can I say, the one to do the job and to do it well, to do it over time, to take care, to take responsibility. Why? Because now let's finish with the Cancer past. So this time around, if you have North Node in Capricorn, you have to learn that responsibility, to learn to really get a job. Like it's very much to do with the situation with your brother and your how is it called?
Lana?
Yes, no, I mean the
she would be my sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law, yeah, sister-in-law. So people who have this kind of disbalance between Capricorn and Cancer, it may not be the nodes, maybe the Sun is in Cancer and the Moon is in Capricorn or something like that, for example, or a very strong one of the two. So if you have a lot of Cancer and you don't have enough Capricorn, you may be a bit of a crybaby, or somebody that kind of looks for ties with people. Either my husband or my wife is going to be the supportive one, the supporter of the family, the taker of responsibility, and I'm going to be more like there to support them emotionally, but that's it. I don't want to take care of the material world, because Cancer is too emotional, overly emotional, and watery. It's a water sign, while Capricorn is very practical and enduring and responsible, ambitious also, things like that. So what's another problem with Cancer is that it's too much about my close circle, which is always very small, and I wouldn't care about participating in something bigger than my own family. I wouldn't care about social causes, about finding my place in society, working, doing a job that would contribute to something more important. If I say more important, it doesn't mean that the family is not important, but it's a bit more than my personal life. Yeah? When you are more Capricorn and less a Cancer, which is now your case, Diana, you concentrate more on social life and achievement and, well, not necessarily status, but something to do with being out there and doing something that you consider is a big goal, a long-term thing, commitment, something that is important for you and you believe will be important not just for your own personal interests, but also will put you in a position of power, a position responsibility, like a leadership position where you would be the one that to be given the task to, for example, manage a group of people, lots of resources, things like that. But they say that if this is the South Node, as in your case, most likely you just faced very hard reality, because Capricorn is related to Saturn, and Saturn is the planet of hardship, limitation, having to almost like, for example, you let's say one situation is extreme poverty. So you are the head of a family during the depression, for example, and you have to be stingy. You have to not stingy. You have to be frugal, basically, to be very careful how to manage resources. Also to be able to work 3 jobs at the same time and don't break. So it's a very resilient position. If you have a history of Capricorn, you have a history of stifling your emotions so that you do the right thing. Forgetting about your personal needs, and not being very like needy, because other people depended on you, or you had to survive in very extreme material. Here the key is material survival, not like with Aries. It was rather don't get killed in the jungle, but here it's being able to overcome really hard times. And because Capricorn is Earth and Saturn is these restraints which are more material, that's why we're looking for something like this. Like you faced, but what happened then? You forgot about just relaxation. You didn't have any time or opportunity to take care of your own emotions or to ask for help in one way or another. So this is usually very problematic in relationships in this life, because your partner sometimes sees you as too cold, or too not wanting to connect, or not wanting to ask for help or be vulnerable. You kind of automatically not vulnerable, automatically strong. And I don't know if there is anything like that going on, or
in
maybe
the past,
too practical.
Yes,
Yes, well,
aspects.
Well, very well said in
No.
the past, because we tend to work on these things.
Right.
We don't stay in the same place. We change and we evolve. And you may be somebody that's already figured out to combine the two, the South Node and the North Node. You are not incapable in Cancer or anything like this. Just the contrary. Potentially that's an area where it's worth exploring. There was recently a recent mother that came to me, and she was a Spanish girl who was 37 or something, and she had just had her first child, so considering late, let's say. But she was like very relaxed about it, and she said, well, I even thought I didn't want to have a child. I thought this kind of life is not for me. I didn't like it personally. She has that combination. And she was surprised when she actually had the child, how well things are developing, how actually things are going. She's a much better mother basically than she expected. And when you don't have to be a mother. You can not have children and have this node. But the North Node in Cancer, if you put yourself in a caretaking position in one way or another, in this closed personal sense, that's supposed to be helping you grow and helping you evolve and do the right thing for yourself, for your situation. So Cancer is just something that shouldn't be avoided. And also Cancer is this open sharing of feelings without caring that it will be too much. Being able to kind of loosen it up a bit, have more fun, soften. Because what Saturn and Capricorn tends to do is to make you hard, to make you almost like resilient in a way that you don't want to be too sensitive, overly sensitive. You feel like you're gonna burden other people with your emotions if you show them too much or something like this. Really very serious position is this, like serious way of, and you have a lot of Taurus in the chart, which is another Earth. So that leads me to think that this Earth thing was too much in your past. Like, you have to revisit the whole Earth situation, the practicality, the matters around money, possessions and stuff like that. And it may be something else. It may be this node, too much care about work and career and growing. going in the social ladder kind of thing. Caring too much about outside life and not giving enough attention to personal life. It may be as simple as that you're working too much, workaholic kind of thing. Or taking too much responsibility, burdening yourself with lots of things which are not your thing to do. I mean, other people have to come in as well, and they have to do some of it also. Not only give you are a magnet with the South Node in Capricorn, you're always a magnet of other people to give you their tasks and their jobs. Especially if it's something boring or something that if you make a mistake there would be consequences. So they don't want to fill their own tax return application, they give it to you or something. I'm just making it up, but I don't know if anything like this has happened to you. How are you experiencing all this?
I mean, there's different ways. It's I do believe in past lives. I have memories of ruling. So it's very easy for me to lead in corporate settings, but it's very self-destructive.
Exactly.
So I've been in very many positions of leadership where I end up being like, this is just not healthy.
Too much.
This is not healthy.
Yeah.
Because I'm very good at being bad, and it's just not
I see.
what I stand for. So I've left leadership positions because of the corruption in the environment, and it's always like, and I do healing work, so I have both sides.
So you're already balancing the things.
Right.
You're already balancing it.
So I've left many times, many jobs, but then have to come back for money. So it's constantly looking for balance of self-care, having fun, keeping it light, and then that stern corporate money side. So
Which house did you say was the North Node in?
North is in the 6th house. So health,
this
right?
house is, well, not only health, service
service.
is another thing. Service in a practical way. Kind of having a skill. The key there is to know something, to be able, because you've learned it in one way or another. And then you can contribute to other people because you have that skill. Like, for example, you've learned a language and then you teach that language.
Right.
I'm just making it up. But usually it's something quite practical. So you've learned a technique where it was because you spent the time and you concentrated on it for a while. Now you have it almost like an asset.
Right.
And then you can use it to help other people. That's the point, basically.
Yeah.
So the Cancer is it the Cancer which is in the 6th house? The North Node.
Yeah.
So basically that points a lot towards some sort of service work, because both Cancer and the 6th house are to do with similar topics. I don't know, there are many options, jobs for example. And I think if you find a job which the actual thing that the job does is to do with the 6th house in Cancer.
Yeah.
But your position in that job is a high position. So, like, this is your
Yeah,
own
I've had
business.
healing centers, so
No.
that's, and I want to open another one, but yeah.
It
That makes perfect
sense.
But for me, it resonates more on the internal side, what you mentioned.